From the heart of the Cape, this is Barnstable Today for Thursday, October 9th. Welcome aboard. I'm Mark Mumford.
The Coastal Resources Committee is a very young organization and still in the information gathering stage. It's our focus today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Friel.
Conservation Commission Chair Rob Gatewood and Vice Chair John Abadili co-anchored a presentation to Coastal Resources at this week's meeting.
Abadili made it clear that he was not advocating for any positions, and he was speaking as an individual, not in the official role with conservation.
I think you got to start with saying, all right, what's the problem? And that one is pretty easy to answer. And I know this because I live in the water, but our waterways and our embayments are dying. Literally, they are dying. And that's the problem that I think we need to address. And I think we need to address it on a shorter-term basis rather than a longer-term basis. I mean, come to my house and watch the sea lettuce that is just absolutely covering from Warren's Cove over across Martin's Mills River into Prince George's Field static. Lindsay Council has said we are within this close of having a major fish kill. The problem is real, the problem has been growing for a lot of years, and the problem is not easy to solve. But I think what we have to first identify is the sources of those problems. And here's where I'm going to disagree with Rob's statistics just a little bit, because I was reading the Mass Estuary Project, which is really a good study if you haven't seen it, and they've concluded, and I quote, generally 85 to 90% of the controllable watershed nitrogen load to the embayment was from wastewater. They then said some of the other costs, so that's 85 to 90% was their conclusion of controllable wastewater, or controllable.
Of course, the impact of powerboating on the ecosystem continues to be a major point of interest.
Is there any conversations now about the two-stroke engine versus four-stroke engine? Is the Conservation Commission doing anything with that as far as a restriction goes on new docks and piers?
Really good question, because we've had a couple of interesting things we debate amongst ourselves. For example, two-stroke versus four-stroke with motor size, jet skis. Which, I used to have a jet ski when I was a little bit younger, and they're wicked in shallow water when you're coming in because they steer with power. You got to really jack up the power to steer them, so they can really mess up the bottom. And when we wrote the regulations, there's one specific statement that says, without looking for it, but basically if it's an alternative kind of a power source, the Commission can increase the standards, such as the depth that might be required, just for that reason. Beyond that, there's a lot of debate as to the four strokes and the two strokes, so the answer is really no, but we have, in many cases, tried to limit horsepower.
With the Coastal Resources Committee's longevity still being measured in months as opposed to years, a lot of support work is needed, and much of that task falls to staffer Tom Lavin.
Tom, thanks for joining us on Barnstable Today. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. This is your first time on, so can't wait to get into this. You have a new job in town. Could you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing?
Sure. Starting, last week officially, I am working as the consultant to the Coastal Resource Management Committee here in the town of Barnstable.
The Coastal Resource Management Committee, they're relatively new to the town, aren't they?
Yep. It's a new committee. Their first meeting was back in May 27th of this year. And they're an 18-month temporary committee, and their main goals are to update an older report that a lot of people are familiar with, the Camp Dresser McGee report that was put out back in 1990, and we're updating the report, and we're also we have a few other things that we're doing among that.
Could you give us a little taste of what is in that report and what that report is studying?
Sure. The main goals that the committee has actually adopted. This isn't the first time that this committee has been together. It was a temporary committee also before, in the past around the report that was created, and this committee has adopted the goals of the report set forth by the previous committee, and those goals are the protection of on-the-water activities and uses, protection of water quality, protection and enhancement of natural resources, enhanced public access, enhancement of aesthetic quality, and promote resolution of land use conflicts.
So some of the stuff that you do, does it revolve around the moorings and the mooring lists that are out there? Is a recreational activity part of what you're looking at?
Yeah, the moorings are an issue that is happy to say is something that has been done very well in the last since this report has been put out, and the town has done its due diligence there, and they really have done a great job. And currently right now, as a lot of people know, the town has pretty much reached its capacity with moorings, and they've done a really good job of redoing the fields and getting in as many boats as they can. So that point is actually they've done really well in regards to the report and what the requirements were asked of them in the last time around. So that is an issue, but one of the main issues right now, especially if the committee feels, and we've heard from the public, the main issue is water quality, protecting the water quality.
The Coastal Resource Committee is made up of how many people?
Sure, it's a 13-member committee. The committee members are, they represent a diverse background of people from town who, come from, recreational, commercial, shell fishing, recreational boating, homeowners, people in the dock business, and it's a wide group of people to have everybody's view in there, so that when we're doing this, aside from directly involving the public, we also have the public's interest in mind, too.
So if someone was interested in checking out the Coastal Resource Committee, when do they meet? Where do they meet?
Sure. Our next meeting is actually October 7th, and the following meeting after that is the 21st. The meetings, they're every other Tuesday. So the following ones after the 21st in October would be November 4th, 18th, et cetera. And then it will continue through until next November.
And where do they meet?
We may usually we try to get the main hearing room, but generally sometimes we do get the selectmen conference room as well. So in between the two.
And do they have any projects that you are currently working on or are looking forward to working on?
Oh yeah.
To kind of spark your interest a little.
Yeah. Well, the main goals that I have, my main job description, aside from producing reports to the council, is updating the 1990 Camp Dresser McGee report, which is a phenomenal report, and actually it was well ahead of its time back then. And the town has done a really good job with implementing most of it. So what we're doing is going back through and filling in the holes, and getting the stuff that was missed last time around. And so that's going to be exciting, just to get our coast as healthy as possible, because it's something that everybody benefits from. Whether you're on the business end of it, the recreational end of it, whether you're a homeowner, everybody wants to see the water looking beautiful and producing. So that's the bottom line. And then the other part of it, another thing that we're also looking at is state-approved municipal harbor plans. So this is something that we're also tasked with, and looking at benefits and pros and cons and cost benefits. So that's something that will be fun as well. And that's pretty much it. So if we do decide to go through with the the certified state harbor plan, we'd also be putting those materials together as well. So.
Well, thanks a lot, Tom, for joining us today.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're into a nice stretch of weather all the way through the Columbus Day holiday weekend. Tonight, mostly moonlit skies with temps settling down into the mid-50s. Then tomorrow, sunny with winds out of the northwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour and highs pushing up into the upper 60s.
Don't forget, there is still time to sign up for the Barnstable Education Foundation's golf tournament. It's the inaugural edition of it, and it will be teeing off at the Hyannis Golf Club 1 week from Saturday on the 18th. Contact the school department for more information.
And the Recreation Department's pickup volleyball program for adults starts next Wednesday evening at the Horace Mann Charter School. Contact John Gleason in the Rec Department for details. And don't forget, the Kennedy Rink opens tomorrow for the season as well.
The meeting schedule here in town is starting to taper off a bit as we approach the weekend, but there's still another session of Charter Commission on tap for this evening. It starts at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kevin Friel.
We'll meet you right back here tomorrow. I'm Mark Mumford.